It's been over a decade since the Ghost of Sparta's initial appearance on the PlayStation 2 that spawned many other games exploring Kratos' thirst for vengeance and the limitless rage for the gods of Olympus. With almost every element of the Greek pantheon done literally to death, developer Santa Monica Studio decided it was time to take Kratos in a more modern direction by setting the story in the Norse mythology and giving him a son to care for. Through this new perspective and heavily modifying the game's signature hack-and-slash combat, God of War manages to deliver a masterful reimagining of its core principles in a scale onto its own.
It's the world serpent.
Having abandoned his homeland, Kratos has managed to find a new life in the frozen northern realm of Midgard, free of the slaughter, pain and history he had suffered. Although he may have escaped the war and rage that embodied him, his past demons have never gone, with his scars and skin being a constant reminder of the decisions he's made. There's no clear indicator of exactly how much time has gone by since Kratos brought down the Olympic gods, but in that time he has learned to suppress his anger and even form a family. Tragically, God of War begins after the death of Kratos' wife Faye, with her impact on both the Ghost of Sparta and their son Atreus being extremely profound. Her final wish was for her son and husband to scatter her ashes upon the highest peak in all the realms, that in turn forms the main narrative beat for this journey. Though simplistic in terms of a main objective, it is a particularly poignant promise that sees Kratos having to bond with his estranged son Atreus. There is some level of predictability to the emotional dynamic between the two, with Atreus being constantly shut down by Kratos' stern demeanour, but his useful curiosity and lack of experience presents a way for Kratos to display a broad range of human emotions. Through constantly presenting new obstacles and challenges for the two to overcome, both are able to undergo significant character development in a way entirely believable with someone as scarred as Kratos. This game's exploration of family and fate is strikingly interesting, and ties beautifully not only to this franchise, but mythology itself. Additionally, with the support of an impressive one-shot camera that constantly keeps close to each character, you are forced to experience every moment of conflict, anguish, and remorse. The subtle performance of each gesture or facial animation sells the divide and love between father and son, creating a constantly evolving dynamic that had me emotionally invested in their journey. Not once did I think this wasn't the man who had murdered hundreds of innocent people in his pursuit of revenge, and in a lot of ways this game makes all the others feel like merely the first chapter in Kratos' journey. Atreus not only acts as a catalyst to create a more complex and interesting protagonist, but also due to his strong optimism and willingness to help others, presents an opening for excellent secondary characters to communicate with. These additional members of the cast are well thought out with their own strong personalities, while also presenting opportunities for Kratos and Atreus to grow with each conversation or moment involving them. Kratos being an outsider of this world creates an excellent excuse for Atreus and other inhabitants of Midgard to explain Norse law and customs. It not only acts as a narrative beat, but also a very thoughtful and detailed exploration into the Norse gods' history that had me further captivated by its fascinating mythology. Taking on the Norse lore opens up a huge variety of different avenues of this game to explore, that I found to be extremely fresh and exciting compared to the overused Greek influences covered in the previous games. This mythology also creates an expansive world full of visually breathtaking locations, full of rich fantasy and wonder. Scale's always been a huge factor of a God of War game, and the Santa Monica Studio has managed to achieve an enormous landscape while remaining true to its inspired culture. The intricate details and environmental storytelling showed a level of expertise and effort that will leave you constantly impressed. From start to finish, this game is full of jaw-dropping moments that quite often excels beyond the cinematic moments from past God of Wars.
Look. All this time, there's been a protection stave around our entire woods.
One of the biggest changes from the old games is reinvention of the combat mechanics. Gone are the bloodthirsty battles full of tons of enemies on screen, instead going with the more thoughtful and impactful fights that only involve a few enemies at a time. This reduction in enemies helps keep each encounter feeling controllable, that becomes incredibly important due to the zoomed in camera and Kratos' new weapon. Abandoning his past equipment, Kratos defeats his opponents using a Leviathan axe, a powerful blade infused with magical frost runes. Combined with the new perspective, every fight feels close and personal as you tear through monstrous creatures and avoid being hit. Restricting your field of view keeps you focused in the moment and creates tenseful situations as enemies approach you from every angle. Kratos also now has a shield that enables the defend against oncoming attacks or parry at just the right moment to leave up big opportunities to punish the attacker. Atreus can help out in battle by shouting out audible cues, letting you know of an approaching enemy, as well as shoot monsters with arrows capable of damaging and stunning them. It is also possible to throw your axe at enemies to lock them in place or deal damage that adds flexibility to Kratos' abilities. This also grants one of the most satisfying combat mechanics I've come across, being able to call back your axe whenever you wish to create all kinds of unique combos. You're not defenseless when unequipped though, as Kratos can go in and brutalise enemies with his fist. His fists aren't quite as powerful as the axe, but they build up a stun meter much faster, enabling the delivery of a signature gory kill. This transition between throwing the axe at a distant foe before running in and beating another one to death, and then calling it back, hitting several on the return, creates a beautiful and violent dance that is incredibly engaging to perform. Admittedly, these different mechanics took some time to get used to, but the game's pacing does an excellent job of giving you time to come to grips with these systems introduced at the start of the game before adding greater depth. Also, each ability such as telling Atreus to shoot or call a Leviathan axe is mapped to a different button that helps create a strong association for how to utilise the controls. As divergent as this may seem from the past game's fast hack and slash mechanics, several series staple abilities like juggling enemies in the air and initiating brutal execution kills remain and are as fun as ever. God of War games have tried giving Kratos weapons other than the Blades of Chaos, but not until now can I say there has been one as comparably fun to use as Leviathan Axe that really sells the impact of each and every hit. There are also immensely satisfying special attacks that can be equipped via runes found during the game that can be activated after a certain amount of time to make quick work of foes. Each one offers something radically different both in terms of strength and functionality, and it was a delight to uncover various ones throughout the game. Another visually stunning attack is building up enough aggression from battles to be able to activate Rage Mode, diving back to Kratos' violent roots. Activating his rage at the right moment can turn the tide of battle at the same time as creating a visual spectacle of Kratos' godlike ability as he beats the hell out of his opponent. The enemies you fight are equally as excitable, ranging from the poisonous flingy witches to large monstrous foes like trolls. Some of the more grunt-like units appear perhaps a little too often, but typically they fight with unique and tougher foes. Even for repeated creatures, they often have a huge variance visually and even in the attacks they can perform. Boss battles all feel like epic clashes that are incredibly cinematic while keeping you in control by removing the quick time events God of War pioneered. They're an absolute blast to experience. I wish there could have simply been more of them, especially because of this game being quite long. No question, this game is the largest in the series yet, due to large part not only to the scope of the narrative and environments, but the fact that RPG mechanics play a large role in this game. In addition to being able to use experience to gain new abilities, you can also upgrade and swap gear for both Kratos and Atreus at the blacksmith. It isn't incredibly deep, but it does add a nice collection of rewards to achieve as you become stronger. Also, adding some level of customizability to how you look goes a long way in making your experience feel more unique, as well as create some cool visual flourishes to Kratos and Atreus' appearance. This also makes going off the beaten path incredibly worthwhile, with often very useful skills and equipment to be gained by doing so. On top of that, there are open areas that feature side missions or standout locations that are not visited at any other point in the game. The side missions in particular take you in a well thought out area that offers up additional story that further explores the relationship between Kratos and his son. Most of these quests greatly add to the overall experience of the game and should not be missed.
Well fought, you two.
What is that?
A spirit.
It's talking to us.
And it hears you as well. Don't be shy now.
God of War strives for outstanding presentation and immersion in every aspect of its delivery, making typical game mechanics have an explanation within its lore. To fast travel, you must first find a door between both locations, and then physically go through it, no loading screens whatsoever. Exploring environments, conversations are sometimes struck that are engaging and add a deeper dive into Norse lore or current narrative developments, never once repeating. There are rewarding secrets to discover holding powerful runes for your gear, often involving solving environmental puzzles with heaps of variety and just the right balance of difficulty. It's even impossible to encounter foes well beyond your current level, to which you can avoid or take up as a challenge. Everything just comes together in such a satisfying way that actively keeps you engaged in this universe and wanting to explore around every corner. The overall quality and passion shown is simply staggering, and it's truly awe-inspiring the amount of content to be experienced in this game. God of War is one of those games that just manages to nail everything you could possibly want and you can feel the abundance of passion from its creator. A compelling narrative full of wonderfully written and acted characters, a deep and visually stunning landscape filled with intricate details and rewarding areas to explore, and an impactful and immersive combat system that keeps you constantly engaged in each confrontation. Every element of this game comes together to form an outstanding adventure that will leave a lasting impact on this industry. Developers Santa Monica Studio have truly created a masterpiece with God of War that ascends to the very heights of Valhalla. Thanks so much for watching this review, and if you enjoyed it then please subscribe for more gaming and geeky content.